Exodus chapter 14. God shows even more how he's the one true God. Verses 3 and 4. For Pharaoh will say of the children of Israel, they are bewildered by the land, the wilderness has closed them in. Then I will harden Pharaoh's heart, so that he will pursue them, and I will gain honor over Pharaoh and over all his army, that the Egyptians may know that I am the Lord. And they did so. That was God talking to Moses. He's saying that Pharaoh is eventually going to get sick and tired, and he's going to go back after the Israelites, even after he let them out of slavery, even after we thought he had changed as a man. Verse 4 makes it seem like God is hardening Pharaoh's heart, but really Pharaoh is hardening his own heart, and we'll see that really soon. Verses 5 through 8. Now I was told the king of Egypt that the people had fled, and the heart of Pharaoh and his servants was turned against the people, and they said, Why have we done this, that we have let Israel go from serving us? So he made ready his chariot and took his people with him. Also he took 600 choice chariots and all the chariots of Egypt with captains over every one of them. And the Lord hardened the heart of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and he pursued the children of Israel, and the children of Israel went out with boldness. So yeah, Pharaoh did exactly what God told Moses would happen, and he brought an army with him. He was ready. He really wants the Israelites. But that was a sin, and he was disobeying God and lying to himself, lying to God. So that's what hardened his heart. God didn't harden his heart until after he did all those horrible things, with plans to capture the Israelites and enslave them again. The Egyptians caught up to the Israelites by the Red Sea. Verses 10 through 12. And when Pharaoh drew near, the children of Israel lifted their eyes, and behold, the Egyptians marched after them. So they were very afraid. And the children of Israel cried out to the Lord. Then they said to Moses, Because there were no graves in Egypt, have you taken us away to die in the wilderness? Why have you so dealt with us to bring us up out of Egypt? Is this not the word that we told you in Egypt, saying, Let us alone that we may serve the Egyptians? For it would have been better for us to serve the Egyptians than that we die in the wilderness. And it looks like the Israelites are giving up so easily. As soon as danger comes their way, they're scared and they're crying out, Why do you even take us out of slavery? Now we're going to get killed. They're not having faith in God, even throughout all the signs that he has given them that he's going to protect them. Verses 13 and 14. And Moses said to the people, Do not be afraid. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will accomplish for you today. For the Egyptians whom you see today, you shall see again no more forever. The Lord will fight for you, and you shall hold your peace. Moses is standing strong, though he knows that God's got him and the Israelites. But he's definitely scared too. Verses 15 through 18. And the Lord said to Moses, Why do you cry to me? Tell the children of Israel to go forward, but lift up your rod and stretch out your hand over the sea and divide it. And the children of Israel shall go on dry ground through the midst of the sea. And I indeed will harden the hearts of the Egyptians, and they shall follow them. So I will gain honor over Pharaoh and over all his army, his chariots, and his horsemen. Then the Egyptians shall know that I am the Lord, when I have gained honor for myself over Pharaoh, his chariots, and his horsemen. God still likes how Moses is praying to him and having faith, but he says, Go up and do something about it. God is giving Moses the power to take his staff, basically punch a hole through the ocean. The Israelites will walk straight through the ocean on land. Verse 20. So it came between the camp of the Egyptians and the camp of Israel. Thus it was a cloud and darkness to the one, and it gave light by night to the other, so that the one did not come near the other all that night. The wording on that verse is confusing, but God took the cloud from last chapter and sent it to the Egyptians at night so they couldn't see, and he gave light to the Israelites at night so they could see. God is slowing down the Egyptians so that the Israelites can escape and be protected. Verse 24. Now it came to pass in the morning, watch, that the Lord looked down upon the army of the Egyptians through the pillar of fire and cloud, and he troubled the army of the Egyptians, and he took off their chariot wheels, so that they drove them with difficulty. And the Egyptians said, Let us flee from the face of Israel, for the Lord fights for them against the Egyptians. Again, God is protecting the Israelites and slowing the Egyptians down. This time he sends the pillar of fire at the Egyptians, and the Egyptians recognize, oh yeah, God is on their side, he's protecting them. We shouldn't be messing around. But they still go and run into the sea anyway, even after it's been many times that God has given punishments to the Egyptians and given rewards to the Israelites. It happened even throughout the plagues. The Egyptians have learned their lessons, but they still don't want to act on what they've learned. Verses 28 and 29. Then the waters returned and covered the chariots, the horsemen, and all the army of Pharaoh that came into the sea after them. Not so much as one of them remained. But the children of Israel had walked on dry land in the midst of the sea, and the waters were a wall to them, on their right hand and on their left. They walked into the ocean, but the waters collapsed on them, and they all died. The Israelites were fine though. Verses 30 and 31. So the Lord saved Israel that day out of the hand of the Egyptians, and Israel saw the Egyptians dead on the seashore. Thus Israel saw the great work which the Lord had done in Egypt. So the people feared the Lord, and believed the Lord and his servant Moses. And yeah, I was wondering, why did God kill all those Egyptians? It really sucks how they all had to die, but they did it to themselves. God gave them so many warnings. The plagues, the clouds, the pillar of fire, but they still ran into the ocean. all out of their selfish desire to just have slaves. They were sinners, and they knew they were sinners, but they refused to get on the right path. And that will lead to your demise. That will lead to you going to hell. So what we need to do is learn from the Egyptians' mistakes. And when God gives us crazy signs, crazy warnings, we need to listen to them and do what he wants us to do. That's all I have. Stay blessed.